Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name's Ian Aguilar. This is my partner Scott Snyder. We are Melon Money Management, and today's Dude Where's My Money episode, we are talking about how gamblers are finding a new home in the stock market. Obviously, there's no sports going on right now, which is kind of a bummer from a day-to-day point of view. And it's also causing people who normally gamble on sports to find a new way to scratch the gambling bug that they've got by finding a new home in the stock market. Case in point, for those who are familiar with Barstool, President Dave Portnoy, he's been kind of the face of this whole shift from gamblers to the stock market, but basically has taken a lot of the money that he normally throws into sports betting and has started to do day trading on his own. Has actually done pretty well according to his self-proclamations. Whether that's true or not, I have no clue.
Don't we all? There's no losers ever
no losers
when you're telling people, bragging about all your trades. Always the wins, right?
Yeah. I mean, whether or not that's true, I've definitely seen a lot of articles out there that have spoken to that phenomenon, though.
Yeah. The Archleisters of the world are coming in.
Yeah. But I think there's been record account openings in terms of retail investments accounts being opened at all the different investment firms across the country. And you've seen a lot of retail investors do pretty good. And there's claim out there that the retail investor has been a large portion of the recent rally. What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
I mean, it's a little bit of the opposite of the way it normally works, which usually the institutional money or the smart money is driving the markets up. So it's a little bit strange to see that the retail investor, the places at like Robinhood and whatnot, are the ones moving the needle a little bit. But I think it has a lot to do with people jumping on the tech bandwagon. And you got, a lot of cult stocks out there right now, like the Beyond Meats of the world or Tesla, where, nothing fundamental about the company warrants its current price. You're really, truly betting on the price, betting that they are going to have their breakthrough is going to lead to profitability that, dominates their space. So for Tesla, they basically, are priced, their market value is higher than Ford and GM combined, which doesn't make any sense.
I think now they're the biggest car producer by market, right? In the States.
Who?
Tesla?
No, they don't produce that many cars. So that's the funny part.
Cars, but by value.
Yes, by market cap value, they are the largest car producer, which makes no sense because
especially
they produce, I don't know the exact number, but I thought it was somewhere around 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Whereas, you've got GM, Ford producing millions a year.
Right.
So it's the thought is that Tesla, for those that are following that stock, is such a vertically integrated company, and they're going to produce their own batteries. There's going to the charging infrastructure that they've created with electric vehicles that they'll have, and the autonomous driving technology are what really it makes it more of than just a car company and truly a tech company. And so that's what people are betting on.
Yeah. Well, but I think that some of those companies, I don't know if Tesla is one of them because Tesla is bigger, but a lot of these retail investors are buying stuff that really truly dipped in when all the stuff was hitting the fan around March.
Who's bankrupt?
And have done really well. Hertz is one of those companies, and some people probably, depending on their timing, did maybe ate it, but some of them probably did really well and rolled that into something else. I know Wall Street Journal does a podcast that talked about one investor in particular who had 50 grand lying around, he just recently graduated from college. He got laid off. So he turned to the stock market as his way to make some money, and he put it into Hertz, and his 50 grand turned into 100 grand. And that's what started his day trading ventures. But I'm sure.
Wait till they start getting into options and start shorting stocks and then losing their shorts, literally.
Exactly.
I mean, that is the definition of gambling. People that are amateurs that are making money on just literally a speculative bet.
Right.
It's not sustainable. Sure, people are making good money, and some people will smartly look at it as sort of a one-off opportunity and cash in. But there'll be plenty of others that think they're smarter than everybody else and smarter than how efficient the market can be in the long run.
Sure.
And will end up losing more money in the long run by trying to think they can outsmart things. Now, you can certainly get good deals. People have invested in the likes of Microsoft, Amazon at the right time when, they were just baby infants. But, you have to have the wherewithal to stay with those companies through the thick and thin. And there were definitely some thin times for the likes of Amazon when they were just an online bookstore and people thought this is a crazy idea. They're going to go out of business. So even Apple almost went out of business at one point. So the people that make the most in the market are those that keep a long-term investment perspective. And I think that's the key to any good, disciplined investor is really remember that mantra, stay in it for the long term.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see how many of these recently opened accounts stay open if and when normal life picks back up.
Yeah.
If people continue to day trade at the level that they've been trading, or if other retail investors just saw this as a golden opportunity and they just wanted to cash in for the few months. But typically, I think when you get that taste of making double your money, you stick around and try and see if you can do it again.
There's a reason why there's an 800 gamblers number, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gamblers Anonymous exists for a reason, and day trading in the stock market, unless you're really, really skilled at it and have spent years studying it, it's legalized gambling. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think even another common question, or at least that a lot of investors are asking themselves recently, is how do I play this whole vaccine stocks sector? Is there a way I can make some money off of one of these companies coming through with the COVID-19 vaccine and really hit it big? I don't know what your thoughts are there, but I definitely think it's a tough game.
I'll stay within the gambling analogy and call it a horse race. I mean, you're really going to the track and saying, all right, I'm going to bet on, okay, so AstraZeneca, Moderna, those are the two leaders right now. Pfizer is up there too. Okay, so they've got the best odds as the winning horse, if you will. But there could be a long shot horse that wins, and that would be the one that obviously people make the most on because it's got 30-1 odds. But you could also, the chances are more likely that you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it's better to take a more diversified approach. Looking at like the biotech index fund, IBB, would be my approach if I'm looking into that space as trying to find something to capitalize on the vaccines, because at least I'm well diversified and I'm not going to lose all my money if something doesn't work out with any one company. Right. But for those that were trying to hit a home run, you can certainly look to that, but it's just know the risks before you go in.
There's plenty of people who are jumping in on the home run hope. So, there's an interesting website, robintrack.net. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's essentially Robinhood, the app, the retail investor app, shows which stocks are trading the most amongst their retail accounts and which stocks are gaining in popularity the most. 2 of the top 10, Moderna, AstraZeneca, just like we hit on. Not shocking. I would imagine that as long as
Kind of creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If you see those 10 stocks, you're more likely to then buy those because you're trying to buy the hot trend, the momentum
right.
play. But what happens is the smart money eventually comes in and knocks the wind out of the sails.
Yep.
If one of those doesn't get a vaccine. And the likelihood is that there'll probably be a couple companies that come up with a vaccine, not just AstraZeneca or Pfizer, that they're all sort of tracking along in a similar fashion. It's going to really who's going to have the better longer term kind of technological advance with their medicine to solve other diseases. I think that you want to look to, and that's why Moderna seems to be getting the biggest pop right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who knows? I mean, you're literally throwing a dart at a board.
Yeah, I think it's extremely hard to pick one stock in general, maybe even harder to pick one biotech stock in general, because it's just such a black box. And one of the probably better longer term plays is how do I enact on the trend that's happening, how the prices enact change throughout all industries. And this one is no different. We talked about it a couple episodes ago, how the college landscape has changed because of what's going on. I think the health industry is no different. You could, if you wanted to lock onto a trend that may be accelerating, maybe Lululemon could be a play. You know, people are focusing more on their health and staying healthy and looking at clothes like Lululemon to hang on to in the future.
Teladoc's been another good one. You know, the telephone
That's
medicine.
going to increase as time goes on. Those type of longer term trends that are good companies, that's where I'd be a little bit more comfortable talking about individual stocks than a singular.
They have a little bit more fundamentals behind them. And biotechs are great. There are certainly some fundamentally strong companies out there, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Bristol Myers. But you just have to understand that the chances of hitting that home run are not as good as you think. But I mean, if you got some fun money set aside, why not?
Right. Now I'm kind of taking that and looking a little bit opposite. I don't know if you heard, instead of the people who are not the single stock pickers, the people who tend to diversify to the nth degree, dimensional funds. We've used a couple mutual funds of theirs in the past.
They're a good fund manager.
Said that they were coming up with ETFs instead of mutual funds now.
Welcome to the trend from 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think they're a little behind the eight ball. But
yeah, I mean, they've had a good track record of value investing. Unfortunately, value is out of favor. And I think they're almost forced to do this if they want to stay current with the times and remain a growing fund company. They certainly have experienced some outflows as a result. Mutual funds have a disadvantage. We've talked about this in a previous video before, but the tax implications of owning a mutual fund are that, any time a fund manager sells something at a gain, those gains are passed on to the investor. Whereas within an ETF, if something's sold at a gain because they swapped out of one position for another, then that tax gain is not passed on to the investor. So that's pretty big especially the more money you have invested with after-tax dollars.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good point. And I mean, they're gonna see how well the ETFs work for them. I'm sure there'll be plenty of folks out there who take advantage of their dimensional ETFs. We might even take a peek at them, see if we might be able to replace some of our mutual funds. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a good long-term track record. They're a good fund company, among others. But certainly their methodology is out of favor, and they probably need to make some tweaks. And this is, I think, the first step in the right direction in terms of their evolution as a management company. So
yeah. Well, speaking of sports, I know we were talking about sports gambling earlier. I don't know if you heard my alma mater, Colgate University, within the Patriot League, called that they were going to cancel all fall sports. hurts me in the core to a little bit.
Yeah.
Curious to see if the other big schools.
Do you think they should have? First of all,
I don't know. I mean, they always just do exactly what the Ivy League does typically. I'm just being serious. The Ivy League was first to move. They canceled their fall sports.
How many people are going to Ivy League football games? How many people are going to we're going to your football games? Mom and dad?
Not nearly as much as some of the bigger schools.
Right. I mean, they're certainly a turnout, I'm sure, but it's not, you're not getting 100,000 fans. It's not driving revenue for the college in a lot of ways. Whereas at Ohio State, Florida, Texas, I mean, the football programs are driving a ton of revenue to the university, and why a lot of times the coaches are paid more than the presidents of the university. So
I know Big Ten said they're going to do purely just in-conference games. We'll see how the other conferences do it.
Well, I think the Pac-12 also did the same thing, and the ACC, last I read, was soon to follow. So you've got 3 of the major 5 power conferences. I would imagine that the Big 12 and SEC have no choice at that point.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how they handle it.
Then Notre Dame, what happens to them, right? Little Golden Domers chose not to be in a division, so I wonder what will happen there. But it'll be interesting to see if they do it in the fall or the spring. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they might push it back at least 4 weeks if they're going to go purely conference only and eliminate all the non-conference games. That'd probably be the only way that I can see this working in the fall.
And I assume they'll do still do a playoff, or will they do bowl games? I mean, does anybody know? Hopefully, I mean, as an Ohio State fan, this is a good year for Ohio State coming up. Expected to be. It would be a squandered opportunity if you're a Clemson, Ohio State fan, because they're the 2 leading favorites right now.
Well, we need to get sports back so that the gamblers get out of the markets and back
into Exactly. Well, hopefully you guys all enjoyed this episode of Dude, Where's My Money? We assure you we won't be talking about gambling every episode. But be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot. And we'll be sure to post our show notes on our website. Thanks so much.